And gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Show. I'm your host, Joseph Decker. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. We're kind of back on kind of getting things rolling again with our weekly schedule of shows every Sunday. Last week we had been affected by the Sunday day and we had to do it, I think, on a random Thursday night. So now that we're kind of back on a time where everybody can tune in, enjoy the show, I think it's going to work a lot better, get a lot more people in here. Make sure to share and join the show. When you join the show, make sure to share it, of course. Let's get it out to everybody in these communities where everybody can see fans, friends, family, everybody, of course. Our player guest today will be Parker Watts from Martin County. And speaking of Martin County and Eastern Kentucky, I want to show some respect to them. I know the floods have impacted them, on a whole nother level. So I just want to show my respects to them and all the people out there going through that. I hope everybody is able to stay safe, and I hope, of course, obviously no tragedies happen because of that. But, continuous prayers out for our Eastern Kentucky fans. And let's kind of go ahead and start kind of leaning into the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, of course, already. I want to go ahead and talk about our sponsors. We will be doing this show and then one more show with our sponsors. And then we'll be moving on to some new groups. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, contact me through Facebook or Twitter, of course. Really, we don't do expensive sponsors. We want to sponsor as many businesses, get as many people out there as possible so people can know about your business. Let's talk about our sponsors though today. First is B Spring Lumber. That is Kelly and Wendy Wood out here in B Spring, Kentucky. Next up is Charity Hall Bingo by Troy Devers in Louisville, Kentucky, the best bingo in Louisville. Pelican Snowballs, owned by the Lockhart family in 4th region areas like Bowling Green, Kentucky, Glasgow areas near there. Barron Grass-Fed Beef Farms. That is Brad Barron, longtime supporter of the show near Warren East. Next up is Patton Gravel Funeral Home. Roy Gravel Funeral Home in Brownsville, Kentucky, longtime supporter Roy Gravel. Thank you, Roy, for always being a continuous sponsor of the show. One of the biggest sports fans we have, always tuning in and showing his respect to the show. CNA Plumbing by Adam Coates in Brownsville, Kentucky, the best plumbing. And right now it's kind of those times where those guys are getting to work. So make sure to contact CNA Plumbing and Adam. Exact Homes, that is Scotty Hawkins, located in Grayson County, Kentucky. And our show sponsor, Detman Law Injury Firm. Detman Law, Brian, will be sponsoring our players of the week, top 10 teams of the week, etc. They do great work in Louisville, Kentucky. Make sure to contact him. Follow his Facebook page. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram, etc. And then our behind-the-scenes sponsor is always Ronald Scott Lindsay, Judge Executive of Evanston County, Kentucky. So thank you for all of our sponsors. Like I said, we're always looking to add more sponsors and get more people on the lineup. We're going to repost these on Twitter and get everything up and rolling so everybody can tune into the show. If you ever have any, kind of ideas or guests that you would like to see on the Joe Show, make sure to contact me. Love to get as many people on here as possible, spread some light, get some, I like to say we're the #1 Kentucky high school basketball podcast. So I'd love to kind of show some exposure and get people's names out there. Today's guest list consists of Coach Michael Walker from Lloyd Memorial, Parker Watts from Martin County, Coach Jordan Gilbert from Greene County, and Coach Austin Sparrow of Campbellsville Harrodsburg basketball. So we have a really fun lineup today. We got a lot of fun guests. We should be able to hit on some fun topics after the show. Once these guys are done, we'll switch to our After Dark type of show where we'll kind of talk about the state tournament bracket. We'll talk about some topics going around right now. My favorite to win every region and some of the players. And we also have some questions. I know the 3rd region right now is a lot of fun. We have a lot of people kind of wondering who's the favorite right now. I'll give you my takes. We'll talk about the 6th. We'll talk about the 13th. And, of course, we'll talk on the 15th, which has been very wide open and kind of gaining a lot of steam right now. But I want to go ahead and introduce our first guest to the show today. It's not his first time on here. We had him preseason when we talked about Greene County Dragons. They're having a phenomenal season so far. I'm going to go ahead and get Coach Jordan Gilbert in here and kind of let him fill you all in about Greene County. Coach Gilbert, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Man, appreciate you having me again. Love what you're doing for Kentucky high school basketball, specifically the kids within our area. I think kids always need somebody advocating for them, and I think you're somebody over the course of the future that's going to do that. So big props to you and what you're doing for our state.
I appreciate that, Coach Gilbert. I'm a big fan of yours and what you guys have going over there in Greene County. Tell me about it, because going into the season, I think the expectations were really high. And I would say right now, I got to hear your opinion, of course. I say you guys are meeting those expectations right now. You guys sit at 19-3. You guys are 10-0 in the region. You guys swept the district. How do you feel about the team right now as a whole? Have you guys kind of met those expectations? And what's some things you would like to prove on and get better at, because we're kind of getting into that region time and district time. I know you guys only got about 3 games left on the season.
Preseason, we did have some different type of expectations for Greene County basketball. The thing for us, we had a really good start, got kind of off on the right foot, was 8-0 going to the Catholic tournament. And I still think we had some questions kind of around us, but going up there at Lexington Catholic event, going 2-1, beating a really good Woodford County team with some firepower, all around in all positions, and then turning around 2 days later and beating Lexington Catholic, the host team at Lexington Catholic.
Yeah.
A couple things. I think it checked a couple boxes that, hey, we can get this done with who we are. And the second thing, it gave our kids a little confidence moving forward that as long as we continue to take steps, I think we're going to be a really tough out, in the district and region. And whoever comes out of the fifth, there's multiple teams. There's a lot of talk about us in Adair right now, but there's about 6, 7, 8 teams that I think could upset somebody on any given night and make a run. Nobody from this region is going to be an easy out. I've learned that the last 2 to 3 years over the fifth region. So very deep region. You're always going to have 1 or 2 that are always talked about, but there's 6 or 7 that can get you.
Agree 100%. I think, like you kind of hinted on right now, it feels like everybody's talking about you all, and then they're also really hitting on Adair County. But this is the word is kind of loaded fifth region. I feel like I talk about it almost every week on the show. Taylor County and LaRue are also 19-win teams. Central Hardin, another underrated team. I think Bethlehem has gotten hot a little bit recently, won some big-time games. And, I always say once you get into the region tournament, there can be an upset every night because there's not really a home court advantage. All these teams are kind of coming in and playing. Kind of talk about the fifth region a little bit for us, Coach Gilbert. Outside of you and Adair, who do you think are some of the other top teams and top guys to be worried for going into the tournament?
I mean, if you just want to look at our district alone, us, LaRue and Caverna, all have the capability of having big-time games and big-time wins. Then Hart County's got 2 kids that Hart kind of goes under the radar, but Jacob Shoulders and Connor Trent, both of them put up 30 on any given night, and sometimes they can do that together. So, on paper, as far as win totals, you're probably going to overlook them. But, man, you get them in person, and Connor Trent's about 6'4". He's very strong, very athletic. Jacob Shoulders can fill it up from anywhere. LaRue, as far as with they've got weapons everywhere. They can flat out shoot it. Landon Blakey can play. He can beat you inside and out. Jagger Mars gets hot, you're in trouble. And then you move to Caverna, who I think has probably maybe the most talented, most athletic starting 5 within the region. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night. That's kind of what you said, and that's what the fifth region is. Then you look at Taylor, that's got 2 region players within Davier White and Lakin Lyons. North Hardin with Coach of the Year, coach before up there, lost 10 seniors last year and swept the E-Town district, and I don't think they're getting enough love. They've got 4 kids shooting at 40% or better from 3. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And guard play and shooting the basketball is what wins you games in the postseason. And then you mentioned Central. Central's another team that put up 85, 90. And then a team I think nobody's talking about. Coach Boo Brewer's done a great job with Bardstown this year. Hasn't been mentioned preseason, hasn't been mentioned during season. You look up their RPI 4 or 5 within the fifth. So very spread out region. Then you talked about Bethlehem with Nick Osborne. Nick Osborne might be one of my favorite players in the region. I've told a lot of people that. I've told him that personally, but he's probably been our hardest matchup to date. Now we got him in the fifth region finals in there, and kind of hounded him a little bit, 32 minutes, and but still, Bethlehem and they're very well coached. Brad Greenwell does a great job with him. They're going to make you play their style of basketball, and if you're not ready for it, they're going to get you. So, kind of moving to our team a little bit. We still got a step or 2 that I feel like we can take here in the last week. Our bread and butter, kind of the first year or 2 I've been here, we haven't really put into a game plan just yet. So we're kind of getting back to who we are the last couple of weeks of the season, getting back to what we're comfortable with and what we know. And I think the ball's moving a whole lot better. Our kids are getting used to what we've been doing. So I still think there's another step or 2 we can take moving forward as well.
I know you guys are coming off the loss against Male, who is finally kind of getting fully healthy. Cole Edlinder's returned, one of the top players in the state of Kentucky. What do you feel that you guys maybe kind of learned from that game? A tough road environment to win on, really strong team. You held them within, 13, 15 points. How do you feel coming back from that game? What's something you maybe learned from that?
We played them even. I know the score was 13, but for the better part of 28, 29 minutes of that basketball game, we played them pretty even. We had a 2 to 3 minute spurt there at the end of the second quarter where we got sped up and took a couple bad shots. And, that's part of the reason why I wanted to go up there and get in that environment now so we could get that out of our system, learn from it. But a lot of people, we lost 13, but that was a 4-point game with about 4 minutes on the clock. And I had to start fouling a little bit. And you foul Cole Edlin, and you might as well just go on and put the points on the board and give it back to the other team. But I think he might have hit 5, 6, 7 free throws there late, and we just never really were able to get over the hump. I'll tell you what it did do is it toughened us up a little bit. 7th region basketball is physical. You get in the paint, and they're going to let you play, and they're going to let the players iron it out and decide who wins the game. And it's not that it's called bad; it's just a different style of officiating. And I think it took our kids a whole half of basketball to get used to it. But I tell you what, now coming into practice, we're used to it. We've got the pads out, hitting our kids, making them finish through contact, and the ball seems to be going in a lot more in practice right now. So I'm putting our kids in those environments early and often. I'm hoping will pay off as the season goes on. And we're right here in crunch time. You got a week left of the season. You got a Hart County team that comes in here and you're playing them at LaRue, loud gym. You're getting 4th region officials who let you play. Last year, I feel like I didn't do a great job of preparing our kids for that game. This year is going to be different. We're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready to go. So.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you, kind of 2-3 more questions I have written down. The state tournament draw came out recently, and I know one thing that a lot of people talked about is the 4th, 5th region, being together. A lot of people don't like seeing the regions right beside each other paired up. It's like we've seen the 6th and 7th paired up, which was, a lot of people was upset about that with the Louisville teams. Then we've seen the 4th and 5th region, who has probably been the 2 best teams. The 2 best regions in the state behind those 2, all season. So how do you feel about the state matchup at all? I know it's still about a month away, but how would you feel, going into Rupp Arena, winning the 5th region and having to run into maybe a Warren Central or a Bowling Green? How do you kind of feel, about the region, the draw of the state tournament this year?
Definitely. I think anybody that comes out of this region walking into, a Bowling Green, Warren Central that historically has won that. Then you got Clinton County that has won more games than anybody has this year. That's very big and physical. That plays their brand of basketball very well. And 2 teams that aren't getting talked about out of the 4th is Greenwood and South Warren, in my opinion. I think those 2 can upset anybody on any given night. I think Greenwood might have played Warren Central to maybe 3 or 4 at some point earlier this year. But if we happen to get out of the 5th, walking in there, you're going to have a tough battle. In my opinion, Coach Unsell is probably a top 5 coach in the state. And then you got a Bowling Green team that's historically been at Rupp, is used to that environment. It's going to be very athletic, very physical. It's going to press you, and they're going to shoot the heck out of the basketball. So, the good part about it is you're going to go in there for a test. And if you're behind the 8 ball for 3 minutes getting ready to play in a Rupp Arena, you're going to be in trouble. So, that's what you want. If you want to be competitive, you want to play in those games. Now, would you much rather it be a Final Four or Elite 8? Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, you got to beat them no matter what. And kind of talking about this draw, I'm from a district that just switched last year, this year really, to a seeded district. So I've been part of a draw really my whole life. And so I'm here to Greene County. And hey, there's some 10th region and there's some 39th district people that down there near Maysville that live and die by that draw. So they love it. Hey, you got to play who's in front of you no matter who that is. And the draw's not always fair to everybody. I think you got the 13th, 14th, and 15th right there in the same pod with the 10th. And then I think you got our pod is us, the 4th, and then you got the 1st region, which is Marshall County. Is that correct?
Yeah, Marshall and Callaway kind of look to be the favorites of the 1st.
Winning a lot of games, very well coached, and then you got the 16th, which historically is Ashland and Boyd. There's no walkovers in that pod. No. So if you can win out of that pod and get to a Final Four, then you've played 2 really good games of basketball. You really have.
Of course, Coach, I want to ask you about this. You got 2 of the top seniors in the 5th region, without a doubt, in Hayden Blakeman and Jaden Marr. Their recruitment kind of continues to heat up, and they keep getting looked at by more and more teams. What makes those 2 guys special, and why should, college coaches be drooling at the thought of them on their team?
First off, Hayden Blakeman is the school's all-time leading scorer, both boys and girls side of things. So, and depending on, how many games we play, he's on track to possibly be the all-time leading rebounder as well. I don't know if he's known that, or I haven't told him that, so he might be watching the show and he might know now. But and then you switch to Jaden Marr, who I don't know has been tired since I've been here at Greene County. He's got a motor on both ends of the floor that if you're not ready to match, he's going to burn you. And I think that MO is out, and even with the MO out that he's going to outwork you, you can give all you got, and he's still going to have extra in the tank. One thing with Jaden is his rebounding this year, he's took an initiative to go after the basketball, and it's changed us on both ends of the floor. It's allowed us to hold teams to one shot on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, with kind of all the firepower we've got, we haven't really been able to sit down and run, 75% of our offense through Hayden and Jaden like we have in the past. So him getting those extra offensive opportunities, he's finished at the rim. He's gotten stronger. He's shooting the ball better as of late as well. he's definitely somebody that can impact the game at any given point, first quarter through fourth quarter. So those two have done a really good job of taking what we've done the last 3 years and becoming leaders within our program. So I've been happy with how vocal they've been this year, both on and off the floor. And then you got two other seniors with them, Houston Hodges that got back in January, and then Tanner Willis is shooting 42, 43 for 2 from 3. So we've got 4 guys that really know what's going on the offensive end, and I'm happy for those 4 and the success they're having this year in their senior season.
Yeah, I want to hit on one more player. We've talked about Eric and Modi so much. They're two, obviously great players, but a guy that's really starting to get his recognition now, despite his younger age, is Cooper Stone. I think he's competing with, every guard he's played this season. I think his defensive intensity, the way he plays on offense, I feel like he's one of those guys that I kind of say it on the show all the time. He plays like he's been in high school for 4 or 5 years. He plays like a smart veteran point guard. Tell me what having a guy like him brings to this team and how he's kind of been able to, lead the offense at time, be the big guy despite being a younger in age.
Man, Cooper does things that you just can't teach. And I don't think a lot of people understand that unless you're a basketball person. Some of the instincts he has on both ends of the floor is not freshman instincts. I'll be straight up honest with you. He's made some plays this year that I've just got to look over at Coach Irvin and say, what in the world just happened? Because I've never, not only have I not seen a freshman do it, I don't know if I've seen anybody at the high school level make some of the plays he's made and some of the moments he's made them in. And I think the first third of the year, I don't want to pinpoint any certain games, but the physicality of some games, I think, kind of threw him for a loop a time or two. But, as the season went on, he's been a big-time player. And there's times I'm afraid to take him off the floor. And, as a top 10 ranked team, that's big time for me to say as a freshman point guard. And then you come and you talk about Eric and Moody. Eric, I don't know if I've ever seen a player as explosive as Eric when he gets the opportunity to be. And him and Moody also – we've had 4 seniors that know the offense, that know the expectations. And then you're adding in Eric, you're adding in Moody, and you're adding in Cooper. So we haven't been hitting on all cylinders. We weren't hitting on all cylinders in December. We weren't in January. We're getting dang close to being there. They're getting better and better. Moody is becoming a man on the floor. He's taking the physicality. He's going right back through it. His game is expanding. He hit a 3 there at Louisville Male. He's a capable shooter. He's capable of putting the ball on the deck. So if he gets a defensive rebound and we take off and he's leading it, I feel comfortable. And then you go back and another freshman that we've kind of dabbled in is Paxton Floyd, who's a knockdown shooter. He's one that in the future I think is going to get more and more. He's put an emphasis on the weight room. He's got a growing confidence in practice. And tomorrow we go to E-Town and play E-Town. Eric is sick, so he's going to be out a day or two. So Paxton's going to get a go tomorrow. I don't know exactly what E-Town's expecting to do, but if they throw some zone at us, I've got no hesitation to throw Paxton out there and let him play. So we've got a group top to bottom that I'm confident in, and I think we can get you from multiple different positions every night. But kind of going back to Cooper. Cooper is the one that kind of makes us go. Took him out about 90 seconds against Bullitt East with 13 or 14 point lead, and we had 3 or 4 possessions back to back that weren't good. And hey, dude, I don't care if you're tired or not. You just got to go back in. And I think he's okay with that, and he's willing to work through that tiredness as well.
Well, I love watching this team and them play. Coach Gilbert, I want to thank you for coming on here again, man, talking about the 5th region, how you guys look as a team. I obviously want you to say something out there to the Greene County community. I mean, it's one of the best, if not the best, fan bases in the state with the support they show and the continuous support, even on social media or if they attend the game. Say something to the fans watching, and then once again, thanks for coming on.
I don't know if you guys have seen some of my Facebook posts, but the crowd support has been absolutely incredible. The Dragons Den over there with our students has been absolutely incredible. We come to the LaRue County game an hour and 20 minutes before the game at the girls' game, and it's completely slammed. Our side is completely full. The student section is completely full. First week I was here, I probably couldn't say that in our first few games, but our kids deserve that. So please, fans, if you're watching it, if you're listening, please continue to do that because it does make a difference. Our kids feel the love, and I think it gives us a little extra boost. And sometimes it's the boost we need to get through some quarters and get through some bad stretches and win some basketball games. So I'm very appreciative of the administration here, very appreciative of our coaching staff. Any coach will tell you, I'm only as good as my staff is. I'm only as good as your administration is. So the continued support from that and the love from that is definitely felt and will continue to be felt.
Well, Coach Gilbert, once again, appreciate you coming on tonight, man. Good luck these next 2-3 games to finish out the season. And I know this district region play is kind of creeping on us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for hopping on. Hope to talk
Absolutely,
again
man.
soon.
Anytime, man. Continue to do what you're doing for high school basketball. It's making a difference.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Coach Gilbert. That was Coach Gilbert hopping on the show tonight to talk about Greene County basketball, his roster, the people that's playing under him right now, the coaching staff, Coach Irvin, Coach Baldwin, the other guys around the program. And then, that tough fifth region. We talk about it every show. I feel like just how good the fifth region is. And, finally getting to hear it from a coach as well. I mean, that team is just great right now. Our next guest is going to be Coach Austin Sparrow from Campbellsville Harrodsburg. One of our first college coaches we've had on in a little while. We've kind of wanted to get these guys on here to talk about how their season's going on at the next level. And another kind of thing that's always fun to talk about is, Coach Sparrow at Campbellsville Harrodsburg just landed one of his recruits out of Kentucky that we're going to talk about a little bit. And, he's always recruiting these guys, showing them some love. And I see sometimes Coach Sparrow liking some of the content I put out, and I know he's a big high school basketball fan too at the end of the day. So I think Coach Sparrow, we're going to have him on the show today. We've not talked to him in a little while since one of the preseason events over there in Campbellsville Harrodsburg. So without further ado, let's welcome him onto the show. Coach Sparrow, how you doing, man?
Doing well, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Of course. One thing, let's go ahead and let's talk about it, man, because it's kind of been shared on social media. It's letting known to the people. Let's talk about this new recruit, man, Elmore out of Central Hardin. Tell me about him a little bit. I know he's a family guy. I know you guys have one of his brothers on the team. Tell me about getting him on the team and what he's going to kind of bring to this team in the future.
Well, first off, we love the fifth region. We've been blessed to have a lot of commits and players in our program come out of the fifth region and join Campbellsville Harrodsburg. And Landon Elmore from Central Hardin was one of those guys last year that played in our JV program, developed this year. He's a varsity guy for us, and he's doing phenomenal. I mean, I just looked at our stats tonight, submitting some postseason awards, and he's shooting 52% from the field. I mean, that's phenomenal. The Elmore family has been extremely supportive in our program and us developing and growing. And we're super excited to get Landon's little brother, Cam Elmore, and him coming over and committing to our program. And the caption of the post was keeping it in the family. We consider our program a really close-knit group of guys. And, we're excited to just continue to have them for another 4 years in our family.
Well, tell us about the team right now, Coach. I know you talked to me about being ranked the number one team in the region. You got the number one seed. I know you guys have a very good home record right now. I think you guys are 6-2 at home, if that sounds right. And you guys are on a little bit of a win streak. Tell me about this Campbellsville Harrodsburg team right now. Tell me about some of the guys, how you guys are playing, kind of some of these wins you're coming off. Just kind of get me up to date with the program and let some of the fans hear about it.
We started off the season extremely well. I believe we started 7-1. We had that van accident that I know everybody's heard about or seen or saw on the news. And we went on a little bit of a streak right there that wasn't good. We lost some really close games to some really good teams. And then we got back home. We had a stretch of, I think, about 7 road games in a row. Poor scheduling by the head coach. But, it's one of those things where we got battle tested. We went through adversity. And then now us getting back home, getting into our region play, it's been phenomenal for us going through all that adversity and playing all that tough. And we're, I believe, 5-2 or 6-2 in the last 8 games. We've won 4 in a row. Saturday we came back from down 15 in the second half on senior day, and it's been phenomenal to see this group battle through adversity. It's one thing that I pride myself in, and I tell our guys. Not every game's going to be pretty. You got to be able to win good and, clean, and you got to be able to win ugly sometimes. And this group is really adversity trained, and that makes me very proud to be their coach. I think your mic's still muted. I can't hear you.
You got me now? Okay, good. I know, like you said, you guys got a big time game coming up against Boyce College Tuesday, I believe, if that sounds right. But you actually played them a little earlier in the season at your place. I think it was January 21st, it says here. And, it looked like it was quite the battle, an offensive battle, 95-91. Tell me going into this game against Boyce and kind of what makes them such a strong opponent and kind of a must-win game.
At that time, I think they were ranked number 9 in the country. I believe we were ranked 4 at that time as well. They've kind of fallen out of the rankings, but I'll be honest, they're they've got a lot of firepower. They've got 3 guys averaging over 16.5 points, and if you're a college guy and you know how hard it is to average 12 points in college basketball or more than 12 points, and they've got three guys that do it really, really well. They've got two of the better shooters in the region, and we have to run those guys off the line. And we're kind of a throwback team. We've got two really good post players. We drive. We take a lot of twos, and sometimes when you're playing teams that are really good from 3-point line, it's hard to keep matching. So our goal is just going to be to play defense and guard. That's one thing we take a lot of pride in is playing defense. And last Saturday we were able to hold Simmons College to 29 points in the second half, and I told our team we play like that every half for the rest of the season. I think that's going to help us a lot. So defense and being able to run those guys off the 3-point line is going to be huge for us on Tuesday night. I can't hear you again. I'm sorry.
I know last time previously we did our show, we talked to a few guys. We talked to you. We talked to a few other guys, Joyce, Colton Ralston, Landon Elmore. Kind of check me in with the roster a little bit. Some of the guys who's having good seasons so far. And I know there's a few guys you'll lose after this season, so kind of show some love to
Heck
those
yeah,
seniors.
I'll start with the seniors first. Nakir Joyce, he's been my starting point guard for 3 years now. And I love that guy. He came here as part of one of my first full recruiting classes as a college basketball. He's been here. He's developed through our JV program, which I want to give a shout out to our JV program. Our head university coach, Zach Freeman, does a phenomenal job. They went 20-7 this year, tied the record for most wins that we've had in a season in our JV program. They scored 127 points in a game this year. I mean, they did an absolute phenomenal job. They ended on a 9-game win streak. So our JV program, we take a lot of pride in that. We take a lot of pride in developing guys in house. And Scrap's one of those guys that we've developed. And another guy that's a fifth region guy that I know Coach Gilbert knows really well is Warner Bryan. He played at LaRue County under Coach Childress. He just grabbed his 500th career rebound for us this past Saturday on Senior Day, and it was also his birthday. So he had a phenomenal day on Saturday. And he's doing a really good job this year. I think he'll receive an award at the end of the year, whether it be first team or second team all region, but he's a phenomenal player. He's been a pleasure to coach. And then we've got Ethan Bailey from Model High School, Sebastian Dixon from Robertson County High School, and then Elijah Fry from Stanford, Kentucky, from Lincoln County, and Jeremiah Williamson from Beth Haven, Louisville. Those are our 6 seniors. We did a great job of playing for those guys on Saturday, and it was fun to recognize those guys. So I think the sky's the limit for those guys. We love preparing those guys for if they have the opportunity to go play overseas, and that's something that they want to do. We work with them to try to make that happen. But if not, we're transitioning into a phase that we want these guys to be prepared to be great husbands, great fathers, great mentors in their communities, and then eventually get into a point where they're confident in whatever job they're going to do for the rest of their life. We're trying to really prepare these guys for life.
Yeah, Coach Sparrow, we got to talk about a little bit when you kind of dealt with, the adversity that this program's faced. You talked about the car accident that happened, which had you sidelined a little bit. Coming back, I know there were some losses, things weren't going smooth, but it feels like when things like that happen to a program, you can be completely shot for the rest of the season. Everything can go downhill. You maybe don't make it back onto the floor. How have you guys kind of been able to deal with that adversity and get back on track in a positive way, let alone, continue to play games? What kind of made it, easy to get these guys back, ready, going, mind on the right thing, and now wins are continue to show up in the scoreboard? What was some of the things you had to do to get
one
that?
of the things we had to do is we got back into a room together. We all sat around and we just looked at each other. And I think in that moment, we all just had appreciation for all of us still being there and nobody, being seriously hurt. I know I had my broken bone, but for us to come out of, that car wreck that way and, that moment of just being in the same room together again and, being able to see each other and tell each other how much we appreciate each other. I think, there's a little bit of bonding in that struggle that we went through that night. And I think, the games after the wreck, we played really well. I thought we didn't. I don't think we got out physical in any of those games. We're a really physical team. We did a really good job rebounding. There were just some times we just didn't shoot the ball really well. And mentally and physically, you kind of when you go through something as tragic as that was, you have to shake those things off and get back into a routine. And now we found our routine. We've got back into weightlifting. We've got back into extra conditioning and workouts throughout the week. And our guys thrive when they have that routine. They have that traditional setup of practice. They know how everything's going to function and be. So I think, and I also thrive
Yeah.
in that as well. And it's been good to get back into the gym and get back into that routine.
Of course, coach, I always like to talk to a college coach and get him to be able, talk about his program, what makes it so special. So, kind of tell me, we got a lot of guys, around the state of Kentucky with Campbellsville Harrodsburg offers, the opportunity to play with you and play at your program. Tell me what makes Campbellsville Harrodsburg so special, what makes it unique, and, why these kids should, commit and come play with Coach Sparrow on
Well,
Campbellsville
first
Harrodsburg.
off, I appreciate you having me on here. And like Coach JG said, you do a phenomenal job, representing the state and representing all the kids and getting all the kids in the state that, don't always get great exposure. You're helping. And that's
Yeah.
something that, I really appreciate. There wasn't a whole lot of talk shows whenever I was coming up through the 12th region. There weren't a whole lot of, we've got a 12th region sports account now. And, I'm going to talk with Kenny later tonight, but like, you guys do a phenomenal job of just helping those kids get exposure, and I think it's really helping. There's a lot of guys at the really high levels that are, in that OTE league, and you've got guys in almost every single region that are holding Division One, high level, mid-major offers, and you didn't really see that a whole lot whenever I was coming up through school. So thank you for that, and we're super excited to just build a tradition. I think that we're finally we're a young school, but I think we're finally building that tradition of stability. Our athletic director Jason Travis is doing a phenomenal job, and our other school programs, men's and women's soccer, women's basketball, men's and women's cross country, and volleyball are doing a phenomenal job of recruiting and building stability in their programs too. And I think it just goes to show how much people at our school care. I think when you come to our school, like I said,
Yeah.
you're not just coming into a basketball program where we care about winning, and we do care about winning. Don't get me wrong on that. But that's not the only thing, and that's not our only priority. We really want to build better young men and build those guys. Like I said earlier, their character really matters to us, not only when they get there, but throughout the recruiting process. Being able to recruit high character kids, high GPA guys, guys that are going to come in and do a phenomenal job of representing our program is something that we're really looking to continue to do. Um, there's a lot of kids that hold offers. Like you said, we take a lot of pride in recruiting the state of Kentucky. Unfortunately, our financial breakdowns, the way that they work, it really doesn't benefit us a whole lot to recruit out of state kids because it costs a lot. And I'm not in the business of putting kids in major debt. Like that's not something I'm willing to
Yeah.
take on my conscience. I want to make sure kids are making good financial decisions wherever they go to school. So that's something that I take a lot of pride in is helping get kids get a good opportunity to play college basketball, but not put them in debt for the rest of their life, and make sure that they're getting an opportunity to where that they can go to school, do what they want. When they get out, we have a saying, it's 4 years. It's 4 years, but you don't want to take the next 40 years to pay off those 4 years. So
Yeah.
that's something that we really take a lot of pride in, is making sure that kids are set up well. And our campus is great. Our dorms are continuing to get better and better. And I'm really proud of all the work that people are doing on our campus just to continue to grow. So.
Well, Coach Sparrow, it's always a joy talking to you, man. It's super positive. I always appreciate the kind words, and we're going to want to talk to you again, of course, before the season's over, man, and kind of, see where things maybe ended. I thought Pekin O'Cam was a really, good, fun recruit. I think the Elmore family is great. I know keeping those guys in the tradition, that's really cool as well. So keep up the great work. Continue this winning streak. I wish you the best luck in region play. Go ahead and talk about when the region tournament is. I know you hint on that. Where
Hopefully
it is,
we have some more commits coming real soon. We'll see how soon this week, but we're really close with a lot of guys, and we take a lot of pride. But the regional tournament for the NCCA Mid-East region is going to be February 28th at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, at our facility. And then the championship game will be on March 1st. I believe it's on March 1st, that Saturday, at 3 and 5 o'clock. So hopefully we're playing, really good basketball, and fans can come out and cheer us on. And we've been waiting 5 years to be able to host this regional tournament. And if you watch our hype videos that we're going to produce probably early this week of Senior Day, we had a really good crowd at Senior Day. So I'm hoping that anybody who loves good, hard, physical, fast, fun basketball, come out and check us out on February 28th.
Of course. Thank you once again, Coach, for hopping on. It's always fun talking to you, like I said, and keep up this winning. And hope to come see you down at the region tournament. And I hope a lot of fans come too. One last thing I'll say: leave something off for the Campbellsville Harrodsburg fans tuning in. I know there's a few already in chat.
We're super excited about hosting the regional. Super proud of our team and how we've responded, and nationally being able to be ranked number 3 right now, behind a really good North Central and Crown College team. We talked about wanting to sprint into the end of the year and not walk and not jog into the end of the year. And I think you're going to see from our team over the next 2 weeks as we finish our regular season on Tuesday in the regional tournament. Our goal is to sprint all the way through the finish line in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So come support us. We appreciate it as always. And thanks, Joe.
Of course. Thank you, Coach Sparrow, for hopping on tonight, man. Austin Sparrow jumps in and talks to us about all things Campbellsville Harrodsburg basketball. They recently picked up Cameron Elmore as a commitment from Central Hardin, keeping things in the family a little bit. His brother Landon there. Our next guest is going to be Coach Michael Walker from Lloyd Memorial. The 9th region is, I was telling a friend the other day, the 9th region this year is wide open. There's so many good contending teams that can make runs and make things happen. And right now, Lloyd Memorial is on kind of a win streak that's hotter than anyone else. I think they've won about 8 or 9 straight, and they got, just a few more games coming up, and then their season's over. I know they have Connor, but we got to talk about his son, E.J. Walker, South Carolina signee. Talk about him, how he's playing, Anthony Blackar, the rest of the roster, how the season's been so far. So let's, without further ado, welcome Coach Michael onto the show. Coach Walker, what's up, man? Thank you
for having me.
Of course. So, I kind of hate to kind of rush into things so quick, but we got to talk about the 9th region right away. I feel like, I was just saying, kind of leading into it, I said it the other day, this region is kind of 9-10 teams deep. And, whenever, you have it frontlined by Cooper, Lloyd Memorial, Covington Catholic, Newport, I feel like with the addition of Yamil finally back into that lineup, you can never count them out. Tell me what kind of makes this 9th region so special and who's some of the top teams besides Lloyd Memorial.
I think the 9th region is one of the hardest regions in the state of Kentucky. You mentioned Cooper, you mentioned Cubcats, you mentioned Newport, but we also have Highlands, we have Connor, we have Ryle. Beechwood's playing really, really well. They ended up winning the All-A from our region and went down to represent the 9th down in the All-A. Pretty much any team in the 9th region, you have to come ready to play, ready to be prepared for. A lot of great talent, a lot of great coaches. We all know each other. So it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I think you hit on it perfectly, man. You speak about the talent. This region holds alone 5-6 Division I type players. EJ already committed. Anthony's going to be one of those guys. Griffin Starks, James Turner, Andy Johns committed to UIC. There's so many names of high level basketball players here. So it's obviously hard playing every night. Kind of run me through the schedule to finish the season out. I know Connor's on the schedule. Is there, tell me about the district. I think you guys won y'all's district, so I think you guys get the first round bye, if that's correct. Tell me about how that works, and then the last game coming up in Connor.
We actually added another game. We actually go to Dayton Belmont in Dayton, Ohio on Friday. I had a couple teams drop out during the season, so I was trying to, pick up a couple more games. Connor's really good. They got the new coach, Nate Browning, who actually came over from Boone County. They shoot it really well. They're scrappy. They play really good team defense and offense. They're good. So I always like to schedule them towards the end of my season because it kind of prepares us for our district play. And then, Dayton Belmont's just going back to my hometown and, going up there and being able to play.
Of course, kind of run me through how you'd say this season's went so far from your perspective. There's a lot of expectations always with Lloyd, especially with EJ, and on this team, the other guys as well, which I'm going to have you hint on the rest of this roster for those who might not know. But, in the region, you guys 11-2, 4-0 in the district, finishing with a 20-6 record. You guys, your losses, you battled some of the top teams in the state of Kentucky. So, I think I would say it's been a pretty successful year. But, how do you feel about your team right now at this spot? And, what was some things they really surprised you with and, kind of, it met expectations for you with, coming into the season?
I think we're in a good spot. We still have time to get better. I'm always looking to get better day by day, practice by practice, rep by rep. Going into our district is always tough with St. Henry and Dixie in there. They're always really well coached teams. So right now we're just really trying to prepare ourselves. One, stay healthy. Two, prepare ourselves for that district tournament, and hopefully to get one of the number one seeds for the ninth region. That would always help us out going in to kind of get that number one seed. So I mean, the expectation is to win our third district title in a row. It's never been done in our school history. To be honest, back-to-back's never been done as well. The expectations for me and my staff is just to be prepared. Make sure everyone's on track with the game plan going into Thursday's game, Friday's game, and then we'll really sit down to kind of plan out our next steps going into the district play. Because that's always tough as well.
We'll hit on some of the other guys that make this roster special. We hear about EJ a lot, but, there's some people who are still not familiar with Ant, some of the other guys that makes this roster special. So hit on me about this team a little bit and get people familiar with, what Lloyd Memorial has to offer.
We got a great group of guys. They all get along. They all hang out. I think that's huge. The off the court camaraderie, leads to on the court. Anthony Blaker is one of the best point guards in the state of Kentucky. 6'2", very, very fast with the basketball. Gets the paint touches whenever he wants. He can shoot the ball really well when he wants to. Great kid, high character, leader. And is, for me, he is a mid-major plus kid. Other guys we got on the roster is Elijah Collins. He just got back. He had a hamstring injury. Really good shooter. He actually committed to Georgetown for football. Congrats to him. Isaiah Sebastian, another guard of mine, tough. He's also committed to Georgetown for football, so kudos to him as well. Then we have Carter Bresser, 6'4", lefty, really shoot it. Getting recruited by multiple Division III schools. Jaden Humphrey, another guard, can really shoot it, 3-level scorer. Great on-ball defense. He's actually getting recruited by, NAIs and D3s as well. Then we have a couple role guys on our bench that do the dirty work for me. Tyler Copeland, Bill Lewis, Isaiah Goldsby. So we have just guys that we live by a statement, and it's be a star in your role, and that's what the guys are starting to do now, which has kind of helped us get back on track with our 8-win winning streak after losing 3 in a row to tough 3 teams.
Yeah, I know one thing that you would love to accomplish this season and have under your helm is making the state tournament. It's not going to be easy. We've kind of talked the whole time since we got on here how good the ninth region is, but to a lot of you guys are the favorite. You guys are by far led by the top player in the region in EJ Walker, who's having a phenomenal season this year, 11, 10, 5 type of player every night. He's been getting it going. And, how do you kind of feel going into the state, going into this postseason basketball? Because, the dream is to make state, but we kind of talked about, we got to go through this region a little bit. If you all are able to make to the state tournament, we've seen where the bracket was released. How would you feel kind of going in there as the winner of the ninth region and, the matchup that you guys are tasked with?
To be honest, I didn't even look at the bracket for the state tournament. I worry about districts. I guess I'm a little different. I take it, game by game. But I mean, if we had the opportunity, first I'd just be, really ecstatic for our community and our players and our faculty and the parents. But most important, it's just to be able to represent the ninth region, which I really take pride in coaching and being a part of this ninth region, along with all the other great coaches and great schools and great kids, student athletes. So it would be an honor for me and Lloyd Memorial to be able to represent the ninth region.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking into the future a little bit, I'm not a predictor, but just something to look at. You guys would play the second region, who's led by Henderson County, who's having a great year, and then Lyon County won it last season. So we could definitely see some fun matchups if you guys are able to make it. But I want to talk about one thing. Going into a game, a lot of people, the other favorite is Cooper. The Cooper Jaguars. What kind of makes that team special? Because we kind of always hear about Andy Johnson and how great of a player he is, but it feels like that team just plays so well together. What kind of makes them such a threat in this ninth? Having a coach against them year on year
Coach
out.
Sullivan's a phenomenal coach. I knew Coach Sullivan for a long time when he used to be assistant at Holmes when I was coaching junior college. I recruited some of their players. They're just really well coached and very, very disciplined. The guys are stars in their roles. And that staff just does a great job. They make you play their style of basketball most of the time, and they do a great job scouting you and try to take your strengths away. So yeah, they're always a tough out.
We got a lot of Lloyd Memorial fans watching tonight. I know we have all the family in the house. I know EJ told me he'd be tuning in. I think he said he'd finally take a break from 2K to, tune in and watch. So, show some love to the Juggernaut fans, kind of talk to them a little bit and say something for them tuning in tonight.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope to see you guys next week at the district tournament, down our rival school up the street. Just thank you so much for the support that you guys have shown me and my staff in this program over the last 5 years. Please continue to support. We look forward to, seeing you guys supporting us here in the district and the regional tournament.
Coach, thanks for coming on tonight, man, and talking a little bit about this loaded 9th region and then what you guys have to offer at Lloyd. You guys are looking like the favorite to a lot of people, but we still got a lot of basketball left. I know up there, is it going to be at NKU again? Is that kind of a, every year it's at Northern Kentucky?
It's the 8th, the 11th, and the championship's the 18th. It was kind of spread out this year. I'm not really sure why, but those are the dates.
Perfect. And, you kind of talked about these dates for the fans to know. And I think it would be a lot of fun to see the Juggernauts at Rupp. I'd love to see EJ up there playing and killing it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Coach Walker, thanks for hopping on tonight, man. Is there anything you want to leave off?
Thank you for having me. I enjoy your show. You do an amazing job for our state. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Of course. Thank you, Coach Walker, for the nice words. Hope to talk to you soon, man. Coach Walker comes on to talk all things 9th region. We've talked to Coach Walker multiple times now, and it's always a joy to. Coach Walker is one of my favorite coaches in the state of Kentucky. He's got a great team and a great squad around him. His son, EJ Walker, South Carolina signee, who has been phenomenal this season, without a doubt, one of the top runners for Mr. Basketball. 20 points per game, 11 rebounds, about 5 assists, good efficiency. And, that's just such a super fun team, to sit down and look at and what they have planned out. The 9th region is not going to be easy. I think we kind of talked about that, kept it 100, having to go through a Cooper, a Newport, a Covington Catholic, Dixie Heights, who's shocking a lot of people. We talk about it all the time that getting upset in these regions can be so common. It's a common theme at times. It feels like always one of the top 3 seeds always never come out. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fun seeing these guys match up and play and kind of just seeing how it's going to end up. Our next guest is actually our Detman Law Injury Player of the Week, which we're going to gladly present him that award. He's out of Martin County, Kentucky, over there in the 15th region. One of the most explosive and fun guards to watch in the state of Kentucky. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Parker Watts is a beast, man. Front runner for the 15th region player of the year, averaging 28 points a game right now, 7.5 rebounds on fun efficiency splits. So we're going to get Parker Watts in here, man. And Parker, welcome to the show, man. How you been?
Good. How you been?
I'm doing good. Parker, tell me about this season so far, man. We listed your stats, 27, 7.5 a game right now. Are you meeting those expectations you kind of had set for yourself going into the season?
Yeah. You can always do a little more than what you want to do. So I try to set goals that people say that are impossible to reach, and I'll just try my best to reach them goals.
Yeah, the last 3 games for you have been fun. You guys, you lost a really close game against South Charleston, but you guys are also coming out a little bit of an offensive battle, a big game against Johnson Central, a 15th region game. I think you all really needed to win, and you guys were able to come out on top, 101-89. You scored 40-plus points in that game, added 11 rebounds, just a great all-around game. But, kind of tell me about winning a game like that. The 15th region I shared, it's kind of wide open. There's a lot of really, really good teams. So how did it feel to kind of beat a rival region team like that and get it done?
It felt good. We definitely needed to win. We've been down a rough path here for about 8 or 9 games. But, yeah, it was definitely a much-needed win, and just came out. We was hitting shots, playing good team ball, and we came out on top. So.
Well, tell me a little bit about this roster, man, at Martin County. You've got a nice trio up there. You got Parker Watts, Peyton Davis, and Bryson Dials, tell me what makes those 2 other guys special and how good it is to be able to play beside them. And, when a game might not be going good for Parker Watts, why he can rely on those guys.
Well, Bryson's our point guard, and he's very smart for just being a freshman. I really think the sky's the limit for him. He's probably the best point guard I've ever played with. He just knows what to do, when to do it, where the ball's going. Great defender. Peyton Davis, lots out shooter. shooting, I think, around 48, 50% from three. Another great defender. And, when you got a team full of, shooters, makes it easy on someone who can drive the ball.
Yeah.
So it's easy when I get 2 feet in the paint to just kick it out and I already know it's going in. So.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be, a sigh of relief, to be able to know that maybe if a game's not going great, these guys can step up, with your offensive, your ability to drive, get downhill, make plays happen inside. Having these guys on the corners, the wings, knock down shots, got to make it a lot easier. Parker, one thing that I've hinted on a lot today already in the show is that the 15th region has multiple really, really good teams, and it feels like nobody's really picked a favorite. Pikeville, Paintsville, you all, Martin County, kind of headline some of the top ones, and then Johnson, Central, Lawrence County are also winning big games. But, the postseason play, there can always be upsets. There can always be somebody over one that shouldn't, win a game. You always have those 15-2 upsets, in the March Madness. So, there's always time for upsets. How do you kind of feel, getting closer to this district and region tournament? How do you kind of feel about your game so far? And, does the team look good going into this district region? How's the team kind of feel? Positive environment? And, like I said, how do you kind of feel going into this postseason play?
I feel great. I feel amazing about going into it. I definitely think we're the best team, but we have to play defense. We have to move the ball around. It's all about one more. It's all about the one extra passes. So, and defense. But I think the 15th region is loaded this year. With Paintsville's good. They're young. Pikeville's good. Johnson Central's good. I think it can go either way, but honestly, if we play defense, move the ball around, I don't think no one can stop us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I really like what, you bring to the table. It just makes the offense so much more explosive. Parker, won't hold you too much longer, man, but, tell me about the recruiting process so far. You hold offers from KCU, Campbellsville, Harrodsburg, Brusha, but a lot more, even higher major schools are starting to show a little bit of interest. Tell me about some of the schools reaching out and talking to you, man, and, how things are going on the recruiting side.
They're going good. Just got to be patient. You got EKU. I went up there for a game day visit. Absolutely love it up there. The culture, the energy, it's like just what I want. I got Ohio State, Northwestern. They've kind of showed a little bit of interest, talking back and forth with my coaches. A little bit, about 4 or 5 JUCO college has been texting me. That kind of sums it up for my recruiting.
Yeah. Well, it's for sure one, like you said, been a lot of fun, getting to, experience. I feel like the recruiting and, getting to play. I know sometimes it's hard to balance both at the same time with your focus on season, but the recruiting process has definitely been fun. Parker, we got a lot of Cardinal fans tuning in from Martin County. Leave something off for the fans watching the show today.
I've never played a basketball game where everyone in the community shows up. The Johnson Central game, the atmosphere was unreal, and I appreciate everybody for coming out and supporting us, and just keep supporting us.
I appreciate that. Parker, one thing I want to say, Eastern Kentucky being affected by, the floods that recently happened, the community's, in some trouble, things going on over there. So I just want to let everybody know in Eastern Kentucky that we're showing support over here. We're continuing in your prayers and, your people and people around you that might be affected. We're praying for and keeping in our thoughts. So, Parker, I appreciate you coming on, man, and hope you and everybody in the circles over there can stay safe. And we hope to talk to you again, man. And I hope this postseason play is a lot of fun. I'd love to see Martin County, especially go up to Rupp Arena with the fun player that you are,
yes,
the guys
sir.
around you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Parker, for hopping on. You were our Detman Law Joseph Decker Player of the Week. Parker, we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thanks for hopping on. Parker Watts joins the show today to talk about Martin County. We award him our Player of the Week through 3 games, 38 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, and they're coming off a really big win over Johnson Central in their region, which was kind of a must-win game. I feel like he kind of hinted on. They were coming off 3 losses in a row. This was a game they really needed. It was a win in the 15th region. Parker had been just phenomenal. It felt like 40 points for Parker right now is kind of expected, especially through these last 4 or 5 games. So Parker Watts, appreciate you hopping on, man. His recruiting starting to kind of blow up a little more, become a lot of fun. He's one of the top unsigned seniors in Kentucky, without a doubt. So I really appreciate Parker hopping on. But that's our guest lineup for today, man. We're 55 minutes in, kind of what expected. And it was a lot of fun getting to talk to all of our coaches and players today. But this is typically where we take a little bit of change of scenery in the shot called the After Dark, just because we start talking about non-guest things. We start talking about Kentucky high school basketball state. It's usually later. I know Eastern Kentucky time right now. Eastern time, we are 8:57, about to head on to 9 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody who's tuning in and staying on the show right now, despite the late timing. But let's talk about something that's kind of sparking a lot of interest right now. Let's go ahead and bring it up, and that's the state tournament bracket. The state tournament bracket was released about 2-3 days ago, and there's been a lot of opinions on it. Good, bad. There's some matchups that people's upset about. But let's go ahead and look at it in case you hadn't seen it yet. I know Coach Walker hadn't peeped it yet. So in case you haven't seen it, the tournament this year, obviously at Rupp Arena, last 29th final game, always that night. And when you look at the bracket from the outside, some things that obviously catch your eyes immediately is the 4th and 5th and the 6th and 7th are matching up in round 1. And, one thing I will say is I'm not too happy about it. I know a lot of people's upset about it. They think they could have did better. They don't want the Louisville teams matching up in the first region. And, let alone, being upset with that, maybe not being the happiest that that's a matchup. I think we've got to just look at it on how good of a game that can be. And, the 7th region, it's always going to be either the first or second best region in the state of Kentucky every year in and year out. St. Xavier looking like the number 1 consensus number 1 team in the state of Kentucky, yet to lose a in-state Kentucky game. And, they set it 25-2, 10-0 in the region, 3-0 in the district, like I said. But DuPont Manual starting to get things going, starting to really turn up. Louisville Male, 100% now with Cole Edelin back on the team. So, the 7th region, it's not, I feel, as firm as, it was maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We knew it was St. X, but now with Male fully healthy, how much competitive does that make? How much more competitive does it make this region? Because going into the season, Louisville Male with Cole Edelin was a top 3-5 ranked team in the state. Everybody knew this team could win it all, especially if they got hot and made it out of region. There's some people who've seen what happened to St. X last year when they went out early to Seneca. They said, well, could this be another year like that? Because going out of the LIT last year, St. X looked unbeatable. They lose in, the region game. So, how can does that maybe hold over them this year? Does that maybe happen again? Does that strike again? Or is this, kind of a more, experienced, better basketball program? I don't see any type of early exit coming from St. Xavier this year at all, but I do think that we'll have some battles in the region play. I've talked to just about every coach in the 7th region, and they always say, when you get to that postseason, anybody can win a game. It's always a battle. You never really know who's going to come out on top. It's like going into those games, it's a 0-0 record. Nobody's better than nobody. It's just you got to battle it out. And, with this region being stacked with the top 5 that it is in Trinity, Louisville, Ballard, Male, DuPont Manual, and St. X, there can really be an upset, and there can be, a game any night that shocks somebody. So that's going to be a really fun matchup. We talk about the 6th region. Right now, it's kind of led by Louisville Butler. Louisville Butler coming off a big win on the road at Butler County, Kentucky, where they were able to win 82-75. They're on a long streak right now of winning. They took a loss in the LIT to Trinity Louisville. That was their last loss, but they've won games over PRP and now Butler County. Since then, 2 big wins to add to the resume. Their next game is this Tuesday against DuPont Manual. So if they can take out, another top elite 7th region team like DuPont Manual to add to their resume, it just continues to build them respect. I think Butler Louisville has kind of proven that they're a top 10 team in the state. They're going to be in my top 10. I know they're in a lot of people's top 10. If they're not 10, they're 11, 12, 13, that range. But they're a great, phenomenal basketball team. They have great coaches and Coach Geary, Coach Otis. Adrian Wilder is continuing to be one of the most, if not the most underrated player in the state. But what makes this team fun is they score 72 points a night. but only one guy averages 15 points a game. So it kind of just shows how spread out this offense is. 5 guys averaging over 7+ points per game, 2 and 5. 2 averaging 5 a game. So the offense is really spread out and a lot of fun. They shoot 50% from the field as a team, 33 from 3. And when they get to the free throw line, they typically knock them down, hitting about 2 out of 3 attempts a game. And they're a fun rebounding team. They average 30 rebounds as a team. But when you look at these team statistics, it's everybody getting involved for Louisville Butler. And I think that's what makes them such a threat. Michael Jones is a Swiss Army knife type of guy who can do a little bit of everything on the basketball floor. So he's a super fun player. And then one of my personal favorite players in the state, Santana Anderson. She's 5'8", but one of the most electric, fun, entertaining players you can watch. Phenomenal playmaker, great shooter, gets everybody involved. Super fun to watch. He can kind of cook and match up with anybody in the state. So that's a super fun game you kind of got to look at and circle. But 6th and 7th matchup would be fun. We know how good the 6th is, of course, with J-Town adding Cameron McDaniels now. They look very good. Prince Complay continuing to be one of the best guards in the state. Same with Day-Day, Davon Harrison. So J-Town's a great basketball team. PRP has been really good. You can never count out Fairdale with Coach Stinnett and how their young guys are continuing to develop and get ready for this postseason. So the 6th region is going to be a lot of fun. Another region that I'm looking at that's going to be a fun game is 1 and 16. And whoever makes it out of the 16th region, whether if it's Ashland Blazer led by Mr. Basketball candidate Xander Carter, Liberty Signee, or Boyd County, who has one of the top, if not the top junior in the state of Kentucky, Jacob Spurlock. It's going to be a battle in that 16th region championship, especially if those teams match up. You know, we always got to talk hypothetical, kind of try to predict the future here. We don't really know how these postseasons will play out, but right now it does look like we would have a Ashland Blazer Boyd County matchup to decide who goes to Rupp Arena. And, you know, either of those teams matching up against Region 1, which would be right now looking like the most split region in the state between Marshall and Callaway, that would be an absolute battle. Callaway just got a win over Marshall County at Marshall after Marshall had beat them. So they split the season series at 1-1, and there's no doubt they're going to match up again. You know, they want to play each other again. They're the 2 best clear-cut teams in that region. Marshall County led by Matthew Lange, son of Dan Lange, D1 prospect, phenomenal sophomore. And then Callaway led by the senior duo in Jonah Butler and Eli Finley. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun matchup. I'm really, really excited to see how that plays out. The 4th and 5th region is similar to the 6th and 7th. It just feels weird to see those 2 closer regions match up so early. But the 4th region will always be favored by Warren Central. Coach Unseld and what he has there, they're the best team. They're a top 10 team in the state. They've beaten Bowling Green twice this year, but Bowling Green kind of slides in, and they're the 2nd favorite right now. They've kind of had a win streak going there for a while. I think they might still be on that win streak, actually. Let me not take that back. Bowling Green were really getting things going, and then they ran into Warren Central where they would lose that win streak. Yes, I was right about that. And the Warren Central game, they were up by about 15, 16 points at one time, and then the second half by Warren Central was just phenomenal. What Coach Unseld continues to do, he outcoaches opponents and his guys step up at big times. And I think that's what makes Warren Central so special, man. They don't always have to be the most talented team, but they have a super talented roster. Let's not get that out of the way. Armani Bird, Ant McAfee, Cash Carter, Dominic Anthony, Armani Bird, once again, Jarrett Kirk. You know, this team is just so good. The Hulbert brothers. So, you know, if this team goes far, Warren Central, you know, with the DNA they have of being a, you know, deep run team, Coach Unseld with the state appearance, with the state championship appearance and the state champion win, done it as a player and a coach. I think that's going to be really fun to see. The 5th region, obviously headlined by Greene County and Adair County. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The 13th, 15th, the 13th, 14th, and 15th all kind of beside each other too is interesting to see. The 13th and 14th region will definitely kind of be, you know, an underrated fun game. I think the 13th region it's kind of hard to pick a favorite. You have the Laurel County games between North and South Laurel, but you obviously have the favorites to many, which is Harlan County. They returned 3 to 4 guys last year from that state team. Obviously losing Trent Noah is going to be something difficult to overcome, but you know, they've kind of proven they've not really lost that step. They have the highest RPI in the 13th region. They're 21-8, led by Maddox Huff, Mr. Basketball candidate. So that's a super good team out there. They're going to compete. They're on a 3-game win streak. They've beat South Laurel this season. They've competed against some of the best teams in the state of Kentucky. So really interested to see who wins that region. Bell County has been another underrated team, I think, that's not really getting a lot of respect. I like the guys on Bell County, especially talking about one of the more underrated guys in the state of Kentucky, Ethan Buell, and then Blake Burnett. That's a really fun duo out there. But they got 3 guys scoring over 15 a game. Bell County scores 75 as a team. Coach Brad Sizemore, that'll be a fun, 13th region to see who makes it out of that. That's going to be a fun one. And then, kind of looking on the sidelines. The 3rd region, like I said, has been wide open. But what hurts is that you're going to run into that juggernaut no matter what with the 11th region. The 11th region is – got 3 of the top 5 teams in the state of Kentucky: Frederick, Douglass, Great Crossing, and Bryan Station. So if a Butler County wins, they've matched up against Great Crossing. That would be a fun one. But, I feel like whoever makes it out of the 11th region is kind of primed to win it all, or at least to make it to the championship, just because I feel the right side of the bracket is a lot more laid back and easier than the left side. And, you can never, like I said, once it's rough, it's a whole different game. There can always be an upset, but, still interested to see who makes it out of the 3rd region. I know right now it's kind of led by Davis County, Butler, Grayson, Ocath. Davis is coming off a big win against Ocath. Butler County continues to shock many people. They're starting to get the things going. They're starting to win. Talk to Ty Price. He's getting more and more healthy. Lawson Rice, almost 99% sure will not be returning this season, but they're still a fun offensive team. Justin Caslin has been stepping it up more than almost any other player in the state has to. He has been phenomenal these last 3-4 games, averaging about 25 a game. So Butler County coming out of the 3rd region is very not unlikely, and it would be a lot of fun to see them back at Rupp after their short trip last season. But, Davis County, Owensboro Catholic led by Tim Riley, one of the best coaches of all time, with the roster he has around him with Luke Bikeman, Eastern Illinois commit. It could be a lot of fun to see who makes it out. The 2nd and 9th region game would be fun. The 2nd region headlined by Henderson County and Lyon County, but whoever makes it out of this loaded 9th region could be primed for a little bit of a run and good draw. Could see Newport return to the state tournament. I know last year they went out, pretty quickly to Campbell County in round 1, but Taylor Kinney obviously hurt, didn't play much of that game, probably about 5-10 minutes, honestly, if any more than that. So the right side of the region is going to have some fun matchups, especially those bottom 2, but the left side of the region is really what a lot of people is going to be there to see. Especially seeing the 4th and 5th possibly matching up, and then the 6th and the 7th. So I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on that with the matchups, how they necessarily feel about this. We're pulling up this now. This is kind of a prediction bracket, I would say. You look at the left to the right. We kind of filled it all in as it would be. How do you guys feel about this? I think that's a good thing to say. Looking at it, it's definitely, what many of the favorites are is what I'm trying to say. The top left, you have the 16th and 1st region matching up, which would be a lot of fun of a matchup. Ashland Blazer kind of the favorite to make it out right now. Then they would match up against Marshall County, who has the 2nd most wins in the state right now, projected to make it out of the 1st. That could be Callaway County. That definitely could be Callaway County. We'll have to see how that postseason runs out. I said it in a previous episode. Callaway County is kind of the favorite to a lot of people because the age and the experience they have over Marshall. However, Marshall making it last season, could definitely see them back there. The 4th and 5th, the favorites right now, Warren Central versus Greene County. Perhaps you switch Greene County with Adair County, who made it last year and won a game. Adair just recently lost to Warren Central 58-56, but Greene County looking like the favorite right now. The 8th region is one of them regions that you're not too 100%. It feels like whoever makes it out of the 8th region is going to be from Oldham County. It looks like it's going to be either North Oldham or South Oldham. South Oldham has the better record, but North Oldham is actually coming off the win. So that would be a fun game for sure to see who makes it out of the 8th. They would match up against the 12th region, which is almost consensus going to be Danville Christian unless a big-time upset happens. Danville, top 10 team in the state of Kentucky, led by that great defensive zone with the multiple 7-footers. And it's just a really fun team to watch because they're so good defensively. And a lot of people don't like defensive basketball, but, they really excel, especially, against these high-powered offensive teams. They're coming off a good win against Bryan Station. However, before people go a little too crazy, you only beat Bryan Station by 1 point. You're Danville Christian, top 10 team in the state. You only beat Danville Christian. You only beat Bryan Station by 1 without Amari Owens. So you add Amari Owens to that game, Bryan Station could have won that by 15. So anybody kind of putting Danville Christian over Bryan Station in the rankings due to that, I'm not agreeing with that at all. But no, that's just a game I wanted to highlight that recently happened. Butler St. X, we kind of hinted on that a little bit. South Laurel Hazard, that would be a fun one. Still not 100% sure who I have the favorite out of the 13th. I have South Laurel listed for now, but with Harlan County, Maddox Huff, and them making it last year, it's hard not to bet on Harlan County, but South Laurel getting some big time wins recently. Just battled Great Crossing. Jordan Mabe, wow, many schools missed on him. Jordan Mabe is a phenomenal player, going to play at Alabama Huntsville D2. Hazard, probably the best team in Eastern Kentucky. Evan Eversole, Seth Caudell, Dalton Combs, they're a great team. They can shoot the ball. They can play defense. They've had some rough matchups like with Danville Christian where they were held to under 30 points. But that's a team, like we said, the 15th region is wide open right now. The favorite is Paintsville. That would be a fun matchup with number 10 seed George Rogers Clark, especially Martin County. Say Martin County wins the 15th to see Parker Watts and his explosiveness take on the 10th region favorite. George Rogers Clark would be fun. We know Montgomery County is starting to get fully healthy with Caden Reed. They got into a battle. So whoever wins that 10th region will have one of the easier matchups, people would say. But the 15th region, with how wide open it is, that would be fun to see the 15th and 10th matchup. George Rogers Clark with Coach Cook and, their past, that would be fun to see them back. And, the chances of seeing a Warren Central versus George Rogers Clark matchup again, it's not highly likely, but that would definitely be something cool to see. Davis County, Great Crossing. Right now we have Davis County as the favorite. That could be Butler County. That could be Owensboro Catholic. That could be many other teams in the third. That's really, really good right now. In the 11th region, while Great Crossing is the favorite with Malachi Moreno, Frederick Douglass and Bryan Station are there. So, the 11th region is not going to be easy to make it out. Like I said, 3 of the top 5 teams in the state play in that region. Right now, the favorite is Great Crossing. But Frederick Douglass, last time they matched up with the Great Crossing, lost 78-70. That was earlier in the season. And Frederick Douglass, man, they've been killer right now. They're coming off a loss to Henry Clay. But before that, man, big-time win streak, looking like maybe the second best team in the state over Great Crossing. So that'll be fun. And then we head on, Region 2 versus Region 9. Right now, looking like Henderson versus Cooper. Could be Lloyd Memorial as that 9th. It could be another team. That's definitely one I would like to keep lookout. But like we kind of just hit on there, this is, in my opinion, the top team in every region right now. Marshall County, looking to come out of the first region. It could kind of come down to them or Callaway without a doubt. Callaway coming off the most recent win. Like I said, it's a 1-1 series tied. You can go either way. Marshall County has the better record. But, honestly, going into those postseason things, it doesn't really matter about the record. It's about who steps up at the right time. Callaway has the older guys. They have the seniors that kind of leads toward it. Henderson County is the favorite in the second. I think Henderson County will win that region. Lyon County, I think, will shock some people just with how good Bray Kirk's been, Nolan Kaufman. They could definitely win that region in return. Not the high fire-powered Lyon County team it was last year, a more defensive-focused team, I feel at times. The offense kind of starting to get things going, trying to figure themselves out. The third region right now, we have Davis County. Honestly, it could be Butler. It could be Catholic. We say it every time, but right now the favorite looks like Davis. They have a win over Catholic. They have a win over Catholic Butler County. They're going to match up with Grayson County soon. Talked to Jay Moss and De'Aaron Watkins recently. I know they have a game with Grayson supposed to go on this Tuesday if the storms don't hold it out. So Warren Central is the favorite in the 4th. It's hard to bet against Unseld. The 5th is Greene County 6. We've talked about all these teams so far. The 9th, the 3rd. I feel like the 3rd and the 9th are 2 of the hardest to pick just because of how loaded they are. The 16th with Ashland Blazer, and confident on that one. The 15th region, like I said, is up for debate. You can really debate it. I know a lot of people's having a hard time picking the favorite. A lot of people just go off RPI, which I'm not a fan of. You got to look how these teams match up against each other and how they play. For instance, Martin County could have lost to Georgia, could have had 8 losses, and they could have all been top 10 teams in the state of Kentucky. And they beat Paintsville twice. People still want to take Paintsville because of the record. Obviously not what happened, but I'm just saying it's more to that than just what the RPI number says. But I think this is going to be a really fun state tournament, no matter who makes it out, just because, 1, how good the talent pool is, and then 2, how loaded these regions are. And I think the matchups are a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this kind of pans out. Let's talk about our top 10 teams in the state of Kentucky. Number 1, St. X still. Till they lose in state, you can't really move them. Number 2, Great Crossing. I know there's a lot of debate between Frederick Douglass or Great Crossing. Great Crossing obviously has the win over Douglass, so it's hard to push Douglass over them. But that's your 2 or your 3. You can have it either way you like it. Number 4 is Bryan Station. I know Bryan Station comes off that loss against Danville Christian, but like I said, Amari Owens wasn't playing, so I'm not going to be one of those guys who puts Danville in front of them. Just because, one, it's 45-46. Honestly, it should have been a much bigger win on Danville Christian's side. But I'm really happy with how that looks. I think the favorite is Bryan Station for sure. The 5th seed is Marshall County. The number 5 for me is Marshall County. Going into that, I think Marshall County had a really good resume. I think they have the talent to be very good. I don't think it boosts them down that much just because of how good Callaway is too. If anybody was to move up in the rankings, it would be Callaway. While making this graphic, I said there's a few teams I would nominate for the 10 spot. I would advocate for Davis County. I would advocate for J-Town just because how much I think this J-Town team is good. But right now we're going to roll with Butler. Butler Traditional. It could easily be Callaway County. It could easily be Bowling Green. It could easily be Adair County. There's so many teams that could be that 10th spot. Coming in at the 9th spot is Greene County. In front of them is Hazard at number 8. Those are 2 other teams you could kind of mix up and swap. Hazard has the win over Greene County at the All-A event. They beat them at Brusha. Greene County lost to them by 1 point. Both teams fully healthy. Would have liked to see Greene County get that win. I think Greene is the better team than Hazard. I think if they matched up again, Greene would win. I think they have the better talent, but the matchup would be a lot of fun. I still like Hazard, though, a lot as the team. They're the best team in Eastern Kentucky. They beat just about anybody, so it's hard to go against them. Danville Christian, they're at number 7, and then Warren Central at 6. Warren Central took a loss. I know Warren Central lost some games. They lost to Butler County, which was a big upset. That wasn't a game, and they had 3 games in a row. They played North Hopkins, Henderson County, Butler County. They lost 2 of them. They lost by 1 point to Henderson County, and then they lost by 13 to Butler County. They've been dealing with a lot of injury sickness over there. It feels like a lot of these teams all are. A lot of teams are definitely going through some things. But those were some losses I didn't really want to see Warren Central take. I still know how good this roster is, how good the team is, how good they're coached. So it's hard to kind of count out Warren Central, especially with Coach Unseld we always talk about. But that's really the graphics that we have today. I wanted to talk about the top 10 teams. I want to talk about my favorites in every region, but really not too many crazy things to hint on. I want to hit on these questions that I have written down. Butler County to win the 3rd region. I think it's definitely very likely and still to many people the favorite for Butler County to win the region. And why do I say that? One, you got to calculate that they have the experience. They have made it last year. They made it. And they're still led by Ty Price, best player in that region. And I think recently we've seen Justin Castlin step it up big time. He is always kind of feel like he's consistently a top 2 player on the floor against anybody now with how he's been playing. He's been shooting the lights out. He's been putting up, like I said, 20-plus points a game. There's been some nights he's outscoring a Ty Price or a Briar Griffin, kind of being the number 1 scorer. And, they battle Callaway within 12 points. Ty Price out that game. And when we seen the 50-point loss to Grayson County, I think a lot of us counted them out. But now they're kind of starting to get things going. They beat Warren Central. They came back, ended up beating Grayson County. They just battled a Louisville Butler team that's really good. And I think that's a good look on them to hold it within 7. Ty Price had 32 points. Justin Castlin, 26 points, like I said. So 58 between them 2. Like I said, when you get into that postseason game, it's always a completely different ball game. And Grayson County obviously worries me with their early exit last year, with their youth being one of the younger teams. Davis County, they matched up with Butler County last year. We had the 2 best teams in the region matchup, so it was really hard to judge that. Hopefully we get them on 2 different sides of the bracket here, kind of see how that matches up the draw. But the Butler County Davis County matchup in the championship is something we'd like to see, I think, match up. They played earlier in the season. Butler County lost by 7. But that's just a matchup that would be a lot of fun. Would like to see them go against each other and how that would play out. A team that we're all sleeping on, I feel like, is Breckenridge County. They beat these teams. They just don't really have the firepower, I feel like, to kind of want to put them over them. But Mercer Rogers has been playing great basketball. Breckenridge County looks really good. They beat Davis. They beat Butler. They beat Grayson. And Owensboro Catholic's coming off a sloppy win against Meade County. But Owensboro Catholic, with the coach they have in Tim Riley, and then Luke Beichman as their leader, this team can go far. I still think a lot of people have them as the favorite. And I think that'd be a good game, seeing Owensboro Catholic match up with these guys. So the third region is open. The favorite in the sixth region, it's going to be Butler or J-Town. I feel like I think Moore is extremely underrated as a basketball team. They got that big upset win over Male, which a lot of people didn't expect. That was a good win. But right now, I feel like it's going to be J-Town or Butler. I like PRP, but like I said, I think it's going to be J-Town or Butler. The addition of Cameron McDaniels is a lot bigger than a lot of people talk about. I think a lot of people weren't super familiar with Cameron McDaniels still. Cameron McDaniels is a D1 prospect, holds Division I offer from Florida A&M. He's had some high interest. So Cam McDaniels is one of those guys that makes an instant impact to a team. And they've got a game against St. X coming up this Tuesday where we can really see Cam McDaniels in perspective and how he plays these guys. So let's see how this season continues to play out. A lot of things going on, a lot of teams, looking good right now. Some teams dealing with injuries, some teams getting fully healthy. So this is going to be a lot of fun, seeing how this plays out. I'm really happy with how today's show did. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We went for about an hour and 20 minutes. All the guests were really good. We got to talk about the state tournament bracket. If you're tuning in a little later, here is the bracket and what it looks like with every region matching up. Here's a little bit of a hypothetical bracket with each one of these teams wins the region, what it would look like. And I think that was fun to talk about. Here's my favorite. Here's my top 10 teams in the state of Kentucky. The 10 seed is it's kind of up for debate. It could be Louisville Butler. It could be J-Town. Honestly, I think it could be Louisville Male now that they're healthy, especially getting that win against Greene County. So who do you think should be the 10 spot? Should it be Butler? Should it be Male? Should it be Callaway County? Callaway beat Marshall, who's ranked 5th. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to see these teams. I know a few of these teams match up. Interesting to see how the region and district plays happen. We have district tournaments kind of already figured out how they were going to go. And then once we get to region, like I said, it's a whole different ballgame. It really is. So interested to see how this continues to pan out and how this will look. We'll be doing these shows every week, of course, where we kind of keep y'all updated, giving out a player of the week. Thank our sponsors, of course, B Spring Lumber, Charity Hall Bingo, Pelican Snowball, Barron Family Farm, Patton Grable Funeral Home, CNA Plumbing, Exact Homes, Detman Law, Injury Lawyer, and then certainly last but not least, Ronald Scott Lindsay. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the Joe Show, contact me through Facebook or Twitter. We'd love to put your business out here in front of our large fan base. We've had about over 1,000 people tuning in live tonight. We're going to continue to share this. Remember, if you didn't get to tune into the show while it's live, you can still watch after. Make sure to share it with friends and family. Let people tune in. We were joined by 4 really fun guests. Austin Sparrow of Campbellsville, Harrodsburg, Coach Jordan Gilbert of Greene County, Coach Michael Walker of Lloyd Memorial, and then certainly but not least our player of the week, our Detman Law Injury Joseph Decker player of the week, Parker Watts out of Martin County, who looks like one of the favorites to win the 15th region. Talked about that a lot today, but I think it's something that's open right now. Our player of the week, Parker Watts, averaged 38 points, 8.5 rebounds, got a big-time regional win over Johnson Central. Through 3 games, averaging those numbers. So big shout-out to Parker Watts for coming on and talking to us. Continuous prayers and thoughts out there for those out in Eastern Kentucky with the floods that's going on right now. I know the weather is even worse, other spots in Kentucky too, man. A lot of snow come through last night. Places like Bowling Green dealing with flooding. So just prayers for our state. Continue to stay strong. I hope everyone's safe who's watching this, and I hope their families are too. Big prayers for my guy, Daryl McCoy from DND Sports Network out in Eastern Kentucky. I know he's dealing with it worse than almost anybody right now. So continuous prayers for my friend Daryl McCoy and DND Sports Network, everybody in Eastern Kentucky. I hope everyone stays blessed. God bless everyone. Tune in into our next show. Likely going to have one next week during the middle of the week, especially if the weather stays like this and games gets canceled. Want to give you all, the ability to watch and tune in. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's show. This is host Joseph Decker. Make sure to follow us on social media, share, leave a comment. Thank you for watching. God bless. We'll catch you on our next episode.